technology.
Welcome, 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 everyone. This is Squad Ops broadcasting its finale to the Belarusian pivot campaign. We've been playing this campaign all weekend, and it is the big battle, the final battle. U.S. forces, the 32nd Infantry Division, 3rd Battalion, are gearing up for their final attack against Russian forces in this part of Belarus, or this borderland area between Belarus and another country I can't think of, probably Russia. This is B-Car here. I'll be giving you your commentary for this evening, along with the campaign's creator, XBit. And we are just setting up here. You're looking at, if you're looking at my screen, I wish I knew off the top of my head. We are. This is U.S. Assembly Area. And they have a wide variety of assets that are not typically seen in squad ops operations. And this is not your typical squad ops operation. This is part of our campaign. In our campaign, we have several missions that play before this one. We've had 8 of them, matter of fact. And they all have a influence on the utility for each of the teams here. We have US versus Russia. And US are going to be the main assaulting force. We're going to follow them here as the blue team on your screen. As Rose talks to me.
He joined Access Squad.
What can I do for you, Rose?
Yeah, he was apparently told that.
Oh my. Anyway, US are going to be blue. Russia are going to be red.
That's what I was saying.
And there's a great level of miscommunication here as command for US is actually fractured, just like they have been for this entire campaign. Well, not really. But Rose is pretty, he's turned some pretty rough instances where we've had the previous missions of the campaign. He's done his best, and sometimes it's not always in his favor. There were several missions in this campaign where Russia was able to get an upper hand, not just because of superior loadouts or superior positioning, but just the camo. We are on the Balkan Pass map. This map is in the workshop, and matter of fact, its creator played with us yesterday. And yeah, the creator name is Wanda, by the way. He was in my squad yesterday for a session, and he seemed to have a lot of fun with it. He was certainly enthused to see everyone play his map and seeing it used in something like this. But this forest here and the shadows that the trees give off is supremely advantageous for Russia, given their camo is a pretty dark green. Your typical Russian camo sort of setup. It's pretty dark against this foliage here. They can sort of blend into anywhere there's a shadow. And let me tell you, there's shadows everywhere. This is pretty representative of what the area looks like all along the map. There may be some instances of areas where there's a little bit dustier on the ground than others, but this is pretty representative of what you're going to be trying to go through. And right about, a little bit too far there, right about here is ground level. This is what you would see if you were an infantryman in this area. And boy, let me tell you, I don't envy US having to play against Russia on this map. It's a little bit uphill. And until today, they've always been aggressors. And of course, there'll be aggressors in this one too. I don't know why I said that. But Russia has had some pretty interesting and close calls, but their dark camo seems to save them a lot. Not to mention, I want to say some superb commanding in tactics employed by the one and only Stormfront, who commanded most of the Russian missions in this campaign. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. Rose is our U.S. commander. Rose is our U.S. commander, and let me double check and see if I can grab my Discord here, and in a second I can tell you who's all where. Rose is U.S. commander today. He's going to have some squad leaders with him. Axe Gaming, Miyamoto, Fun Guy, and Dorf are going to be U.S. commands, or squad leaders, rather. Jack is going to play our Russian commander today. Apparently, Stormfront got commissarred, and now it's all up to Jack to try to save this debacle incursion into Belarus. Jack is going to be assisted by Seabass, Silas, Lawn Darts, and Atomic Peach. And this operation is quite a bit different than our typical operations, not just because it's a campaign and it's the last mission of the campaign, not just because you're looking at 4 Bradleys right here and 4 strikers and a bunch of open top MRAPs, not just because we have that hab over here, and not just because we have a bunch of logistics trucks laying around waiting for their mortars that are in them to be used on the enemy, but because we're allowing reinforcements in this operation. So XBit, I wonder if you could explain a very brief overview of how reinforcements are going to work in this operation.
Yeah, so traditionally, Squad Ops were a one-life event community, so that means that we usually play 2 rounds for a single session, and when you die, you got to wait it out until the next round. It gives the participant a little bit more of a thrill ride when you're actually in the game playing and stuff like that. Lends itself a little bit more to teamwork and everything. The campaigns, we tend to bend the rules a little bit sometimes and do things for a little bit more immersion, more a little bit cinematic, kind of give the guys a little bit of a story, bring them, kind of make them part of the actual operation itself. So for this one, because it's kind of supposed to be the remaining Russians are in the FOB and the US is attacking them and Russian reinforcements are on the way, creates this kind of golden opportunity where we can introduce sort of like a reinforcement option. So once you die, instead of just having to start all over again and running another round, we're going to allow the players to join squads that are pre-made for reinforcement. And as they come in, they'll formulate as another squad and grab a vehicle and head out on the battlefield. So it's kind of like it's a controlled chaos. So, they may hold back 2 squads and go out on the battlefield together to work together, or it may, as soon as that squad's full, that squad leader is going to take them out and get them out there working the angles. The only caveat to this whole thing is that each squad leader can only make 1 reinforcement squad. So as soon as the squad leader dies, he can make a new one. That means that both teams only get 5 squads of reinforcement. So hopefully, if one team's working really well and you last the entire match in your squad, for instance, the Russians in the FOB defending, they may last the entire game and not need to respawn, which is awesome. But just in case 1 or 2 of those guys die off, they can come back and help their team out in one of the reinforcement waves. So we'll see how it plays out. We've had it before in a couple different missions in past campaigns, and it's worked and people have enjoyed it. But I think this is going to be a little bit different with all the mechanized armor and stuff going on.
Yeah, I believe this is the first campaign that I remember, and I'm not a long-term member of Squad Ops, I'll admit, but we have had some campaigns where there have been reinforcements, but they've been purely infantry reinforcements or non-mechanized reinforcements. They may be motorized infantry that comes in on transports, but that may have been about it. I think this is the first time we really have, obviously it's the first time we've used Bradleys en masse in an operation. The potential of 4 Bradleys over the course of what is going to be a 75-minute encounter is pretty big, but there's variables of what could be taken. You can take a Bradley right off the bat, or is a reinforcement squad going to reinforce with something like a striker? Maybe right. 2 squads can hold their spawn sort of and wait until and go roll out together, or is 1 squad just going to trickle through and reinforce like that? Those are all definitely sorts of those are super. I don't want to say the word interesting, but I'm going to say it. Potentially game changing in the way that we approach operations as Squad Ops, and I think that it's super cool. I wish we could have like super huge battles like this, maybe a little bit more often, maybe more campaigns, but obviously that's maybe not every week. We don't want to turn into, FOB versus super FOB building competition. I don't think that would be great for Squad Ops as a whole.
Well, and campaigns is one of the few things in which instead of if we play two missions in a session, you stay on the same team. So unlike our normal operations, where if you're the defender the first round, you're going to be the attacker the second round, so you get both sides of the experience. In campaigns, it's all one-sided. So it's one of the reasons why we don't do these very often, and there's a lot of work to put together, and
Is it just me, or does Expert really want you?
so. We'll see how they handle it and what they do. And yeah, I mean, choices are out there. I mean, they could load up on the Bradleys right away, or they could use the strikers as a quick kind of strike force and get up on the fob. They also get mortars. They get all kinds of different assets and to crack this kind of tactical conundrum that's going to be facing the U.S. here.
And speaking of assets, not all the assets that the U.S. have to work with this time around are tangible physical things. Earlier in the campaign, they were able to retrieve a piece of intel, and that piece of intel it gets applied in this last battle of the campaign. The piece of intel, however, turned up a disappointment. What was to be intel revolving around the location of a Russian mortar outpost has been reported as no Russian mortar outpost. Russians are not opting to use a mobile mortar fob, or they're one mortar fob that they're allowed for this mission. What do you think of that, Expert? Let's actually, U.S. are getting ready to brief here. Let's see if we can listen in.
Round we're playing, so have fun during this round. We're not playing another one after this. So this is also a special one, so we'll kind of go over those rules real quick. For this one, you can respawn, and how it's going to work is our original SLs, the 5 of us, when we go down, we'll make a new squad of a particular type. The squad name will be their type, and basically, you guys, if you go down, you see an open squad that has been made, you can join that squad and spawn in back here with them. Just follow their instruction; they'll help you through it. Each SL can only make 2 squads, so just be aware of that. We don't get infinite respawn. We don't get them for 40 minutes. So you still have to play carefully. Don't just be like a bunch of idiots and run into a meat grinder and expect to be able to spawn back in and run it again. So play it safe, play it cautious. But that is kind of how the spawn mechanics work. If you have any questions, ask your SLs when we're done here. They'll kind of clarify. It's pretty simple. If you go down, just don't go into admin camp, wait for an open squad to be formed, and then join that squad for whatever SL makes it, and they'll help you through. No one make your own squad, just the squad leads. So with that, I'm sure you guys noticed we have the absurd amount of vehicles here, so we're going to use hopefully every one of them and cause some mayhem. The entire goal of today is we are going after the enemy fob that is marked with the red fob mark at Kilo 7. Our brothers in arms here have been rather beleaguered by the Russians here, so we want to go get some payback and go cause some pure mayhem, totally obliterate that fire base of theirs. So how we're going to do that is we're going to have Fun Guy. He's going to set up a mortar fob on the mortar mark, and your squad is mostly going to defend that. The Russians are very active and mobile in this area. They've been known to pop out of bushes at 10 feet away, and no one will see them until they shoot you. So the Russians could be anywhere. Be very careful. So he's going to set up a fob there. You guys are going to help defend it. Dorf is going to play taxi driver with the Bradleys. He's going to set up on the hill north of there. Like that. He's going to unload his infantry. He'll unload Miyamoto's squad as well. And they will start advancing north and start engaging that fob. Fun Guy will start engaging that fob with mortars, and we'll have a lovely fireworks display in there. While that's going on, Axe is going to set up to the west with his MRAPs. He's getting 2 open top MRAPs. And he's going to hit the fob kind of from the west side. Maybe try to distract them a little bit while our main force comes in from the south. They do have a lot of vehicles, a lot of armor. This is going to be pretty tough to get in there. It's a really tough base to crack. It's pretty well built. So just take your time as we go in. We'll call in some mortar air or some mortar smoke round. Try to make it easier. and we're just going to all collapse in on the center point of that fob and defend the last man. Anyone have any questions? I know this is complicated. One minor thing, you can also rearm during this one. Just ask your SL first so we don't waste our ammo. It'll probably mostly be reserved for the lats because you guys will need to shoot lots and lots of things that need to explode. So, any questions? I know that was a lot.
Question.
Shoot.
When we respawn back in, how will the roles be designated?
The squad will take a moment to figure out the roles before you spawn in. So ask them in the spawn menu first, and then once you get the roles figured out, you guys will all spawn in once.
I have another question.
Shoot.
For the enemies, it's forbidden for us to be to enemy camps the first time we die, right? Or else when we respawn, we'll have the Russian positions.
Say again? Yeah, do not go into admin camp. When you guys go down, if you guys want to be respawning, do not go into the admin camp so you don't see everything. After a time, the announcement will be made that no one is allowed to respawn. At that point, it's okay. But if you want to keep playing, just wait for a squad to open up for one of the original SLs here.
Alright.
Anyone else? Let's use logging of the squads to denote when the squad has been spawned or whatnot. Alright, well let's go ahead and break them out. Let's get everyone loaded in our awesome convoy of doom and go cause some mayhem.
Be advised, I'm waiting for people.
Our amazing
FYI, I can only fit 12, I think, the Bradleys.
All right. We just heard the U.S. briefing. Pretty straightforward attack plan there. They're going to take a couple Bradleys. They're going to take a couple MRAPs. They're going to sort of multifaceted this attack here. What do you think about that, Xbit? I think it's deceptively simple.
I think with all the moving parts in this one and the different vehicles and just the chaos of being infantry with mechanized units, I think keeping it simple is a good idea. So.
An ammo crate.
And they've got, of course, they got their mortar base. So their engineer companies are going to set up, what did he say? He said Kilo 9. And that should be within plenty of distance to be able to add in effective mortar support. Not too long of a wait. The mortars have plenty of range so they can add corrections. It should be a pretty effective mortar fire base there.
It should be, yeah. And I only caution being that close to the action that it's easy because as we know from the past missions, that the Russians are pretty sneaky in this terrain. So being that close, they may be able to sneak a little team out and be able to overcome that mortar base, which is with a simple 4-man fire team. So we'll see how that works out for them. You can see the Russians here. Looks like they're doing a platoon brief of their own. Of course, they're on the other side. I can't hear what they're saying. Pretty certain they're having a good time trying to figure out how they're going to hold on to this this fob. Which, if you guys, we haven't seen this yet in any of the missions. So here's the fob. They're calling it Fob K7. It's already got a huge wall of HESCOs built around it. It's got a little broken section here. It's got some entrances. It's got a couple of almost pre-built trenches outside. And they got some old buildings, a bunch of trash because apparently the soldiers can't pick up their own stuff. Got a building over here. And they also got this little underground section in which they tucked away the actual fob radio in here. So if you take a look out here, get a little higher shot for you guys, you can see where the some artillery bursts have hit down and went ahead and destroyed this stuff.
This is a pretty defensible area, I gotta say. HESCO walls all around. Of course, they're invincible. So, or I imagine they're invincible. HESCO walls, part of the map. Plus, there's buildings, so they can get high ground over top, and they're able to reinforce, I imagine, the roofs of those buildings. Generally, this is the goal. This compound right here in K7 or Kilo 7 on the map, this is where Russians are defending against an all-out onslaught, and U.S. are intending to attack. Now we know a couple things. We know there's going to be a mortar fob from U.S. Guarantee you they're going to destroy anything sitting near a wall. So, and plus on top of that compound, of course, we know there's tunnels in this compound, so the fob radio itself will be saved, but it's going to be pretty dicey for mortars all around this area. The second thing is that the Russians have to defend this area, but they had some options they're not going to use. We know that they're not using a mortar FOB, which they have a complete option to use. They have a mortar base they could use, a mortar base to create 2 mortars, and that would allow for a bunch of, being able, or that would allow them to correspondingly attack U.S. infantry as they moved in. I'm not sure what the goal is in not using an FOB for the mortars. Maybe they're going to double down on some mobile assets, as we get a live time here from our event admin, 126. So 3 minutes to go until live.
Surprising that they're not going to use the mortars. I think, I don't know. I guess their intent is to basically, it's probably the fob is a large area to cover with just 1 or 2 squads. So I guess his intent is to cover it with 4 squads, and then as they die off, they can come and reinforce them. But I mean, it's interesting he's not using mortars. Mortars have played somewhat of a crucial role in a couple of the past missions. And I think allowing the U.S. to have basically unfettered indirect fire into this fob is a mistake. But we'll see how it pans out. They got a lot of hard cover in this fob that they can turtle in and hide out. But if the U.S. gets on the walls, and if they use their mortar smoke to effectively block the Russians' view of their final assault up onto the walls, it could be a bad mistake. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's a Jack move. And Jack is the commander for Russia this particular encounter. I think it's a super Jack move to not use something and reassign those assets in a different way. I think it'll be. I mean, it's a mystery as to. Well, see, look, there's a Russia squad moving out. So clearly, this is probably what was going to be the mortar squad. Has already been tasked with an assignment already, and they're moving out. The main crown jewels of this particular encampment here are what you see in front of me, the TOW missile launcher system. These are wire-guided missiles, and they destroy armored things. Lighted vehicles, they can pop. I'm not quite sure if they are one-hit kills for Bradleys, but they're going to do a huge chunk of damage regardless. These things are not to be taken lightly. If you're within visual range of a TOW missile platform and it is manned, you must expect that they're going to try to take out your armor with it. Luckily, there's plenty of trees, and the trees on this map might not have much of a bottom foliage, a bottom fill, but the middle and top fill of these trees significantly reduce your range and what you can sort of, anticipate. The one thing that's going to cut through those trees are, of course, vehicle sounds. So it won't be a big surprise when a Bradley rolls through the forest, perches up on top of a hill. You're going to hear that. You're going to hear that coming. And when it stops moving, you're going to be looking around for cannon fire, assumingly coming your way. The
Well, I have an AFK guy.
round is about to begin. like in 20 seconds. So we have, looks like for 3 squads in Russia are staying at Kilo 7. 1 squad has moved out. And we are going to roll back down to US and check out this convoy as it rolls down the major highway as we go live for the finale of Belarusian Pivot. And US are moving out 2 Bradleys.
Alright, take this first.
There's an open top. There's 2 open tops. 3 open tops. And oh, they're stopping right here. Oh, there's a dirt road. Oh man, my camera work is on point right now. They're all going on the dirt road. The Logi truck runs into the Bradley.
Everyone's dying.
And the Bradleys are moving along. There goes 2 of the open tops. They're going to move in and attack Kilo 7 compound of Russia from the west. These lodges, this lodge right here and this open top are the engineer squad. They're going to be running the mortars very shortly once they move into position. They have a Bradley in support. And there's a second Bradley that has moved ahead of the convoy. Typical convoy tactics here. You've got a vehicle, you got a lead vehicle that is several, several car or motor vehicle lengths in front of you, scouting the terrain. You have a second lead vehicle that's leading the main convoy. Oh my. The mortar fob right here looks like it's beginning to take shape. We have the gunner staying in there. The Bradleys are positioned. They're offloading infantry. A whole squad, looks like a squad plus, has dismounted here from the Bradleys. Of course, this is over in Kilo 9. The mortar fob has gone down at Kilo 9-1. The Bradleys are both at Kilo 9-4, a little bit up the road here. There's a little logging camp. This is what this is called over here. On another version of the map, it's called logging camp. It's a control point. And there looks to be 2 squads plus moving through the forest, likely to try to, likely they're trying to secure an advanced position.
I'll try.
And the Bradleys are now moving out very slowly. They're coming up the road here. One of them's off-road, one of them's still on this dirt path. I'm going to assume they're going to turn off-road.
Did you engage? Negative. We are holding until given the order to push. Okay, so I just heard some gunfire to our north.
All right, we're looking at Squad 4 here from the U.S. They've come up on the west side. I think the intent of this squad is to maybe get a different angle on the compound and we do some support fire here. We got 1 MRAP here and 1 S from the distance up here.
Well, there's a bunch of still that
They're both open top MRAPs, it looks like.
4, is the 30 mil shooting at you?
Something shot out of Russia base there. Not sure what it was. Sounded like it could have been the 30. We've got a couple of infantry elements here. They found themselves a little ditch, and they're trying to get some eyes on their position to attack. And as you can see from the outlines of what's to come, there is quite a bit, all concentrated in this compound. This is going to be one of the most difficult assaults that U.S. have tried to make. There's a tow.
Oh, they're grumpy. Fired him out.
Tow grabs one.
Yep.
The first casualty
Alright, 4 starting.
was a medic.
Just, start harassing with those mortars as soon as you can.
What a interest. I'm not going to use that word. What a weird use of the tow right out the gate. This is the second one. It's like 400 ammo to reload the tow.
Command, please repeat your last.
Either these are... They have 2 tows. Maybe they think they can use a bunch.
Command, we're trying to get a good spot for rallies. It's hard.
Understood.
They've killed, yeah, 2 tows, 3 tows, 2 casualties. Not a good effective trade there. I'm not 100% sure those were tows, but they certainly sounded like it. And there's AR fire. Looks like they're engaging
If you can get that Bradley
the
over here
open
where I am,
bear
cover
infantry element here.
Flats are just kind of raping us. Thanks, medic.
It's gonna be next to impossible at the moment.
That's fine. I'm just letting you know.
There is, this was the AR element. If you can see through the smoke here, they're crawling along. They found themselves a rock, looks like about 150 meters away. And there's, and, oh, another one. Another tow. U.S. Command is now realizing they're using tow missiles against infantry, and I heard a little bit of surprise in Rose's voice there as he said that. We've got a small infantry fire team over here. They're pushing this Russian AR position that they know has to be around here somewhere. And uh-oh, they're pushing past them. The Russians are hiding in near plain sight. This buddy bear right here. They're pushing straight past these Russians. Oh no, looks like we've got Lil Bump and Night Ghost. Now Spoogles are pushing past. There's a prone Russian, and he is just sitting there. 2 prone Russians around the tree, setting up a little camping exhibition here. And they're going to let these guys pass. I wonder if the Russians... I think they know they're going to push through. The Russians are leaving them behind. Looks like 2 LAT units. They're going to go hunting themselves a Bradley. Meanwhile, this small infantry element has just completely pushed past, and they're not looking back. Those Russian LAT units, they're gone. That's a pretty big coup there for Russia, assuming those LATs can find their mark and keep on the flanking action. Meanwhile, we've got half a squad of Russian or U.S. pushing straight in the open. Looks like they have small cover. They got some foliage cover, but there's an AR engaging them.
4 also push on in.
They've got looks like 6 people here, 6 US. One of them, I think, got hit. He pulled out a bandage, and now he's put it away. But just look at what they are up against. Bradleys are moving in behind. Maybe one Bradley is going to pop over the hill here to my right. Yep, it's slowly coming in. U.S. popping smoke. Smoke works both ways. Then there goes a Bradley. The Bradley is sitting here. He engaged some infantry that was on the wall over there on the east side of the K7 compound. But all the Russian infantry seemed to displace. I'm not sure he got any casualties from it. And the Bradley goes down. That buddy team, there they are right there. What an attack. That was Octo Snake and Silent. Silent, of course, a master. Octo Snake, a willing participant. And we're going to go back here. There's a U.S. infantry element pushing through. There's a second one, pretty dispersed. This is command right here, actually. And he is by himself. However, he's got so much foliage between him and the wall, and all the foliage that are between, you know, but the Russian positions and where he is. He's like walking right in here. This is insane. We've got some more U.S. soldiers trying to push through. There's another Russian element over here on the east that is trying to look for, like, trying to look through the smoke. Spoogles goes down to AR fire from the wall.
Yeah, my guys are approaching the wall now.
Or AR fire from this hill.
Copy that.
This buddy team right here has got pretty good eyes.
Trying to suppress the compound with Bradley. Trying to suppress the compound with Bradley.
Yeah, keep suppressing the compound.
The U.S. attack is pretty wide, but that Bradley going down so early, that's got to sting.
There's not really an entrance on that side. You're gonna have to wrap around to that north side where that lodging is.
Yeah. I'm pulling back the spot where they know it's over here.
Copy that. Storm 3.
Looks like 10 Russian kills
Your guys up to the north.
versus 2 U.S. kills so far. U.S. have a squad here on the wall. They're in this what we call police station building. This U.S. command right here is they're gonna try to breach where the opening is in the southern end of the compound. Bunch of smoke. Russians in the open too. Some pretty close mortars. Rose is trying to have the mortars walk back. Meanwhile, Russian grenades are just being thrown over. There's a fire team's worth of Russians in this building. One of them's watching the door. He must hear some movement around here. You can see the outlines here. One of the Latin units just went out. Oh, he eats a mortar. U.S. mortars are getting on their point now. They're switching back and forth between smoke dispersion and actual HE round. But there's still one Russian inside the building here. He's pretty safe from the mortars, but he's watching this doorway. Some U.S. fire going on. Not quite sure what that was about. The Russians are pretty locked down right here in this building. Maybe Jive and Esoteric and Paradox are thinking about pushing through. This is Miyamoto. He's holding position. And if this fire team of Russians can't secure the entrance, surely this fire team of Russians over here can secure it. And oh, look at this. A an MTLB with sandbags in front of it. Clearly not meant to be moved. Clearly has someone in it at the turret, and that turret is watching the door. There's some stray Russian shots are being shot towards this entrance here in the south. Meanwhile, if you look over here, the open top MRAP force that Axe was leading has found the wall. The MRAP is providing some additional fire here, trying to suppress some Russian positions. And now looks like there's plenty of U.S. forces, fire teams, strength force, trying to crawl their way along the wall to get in the north end of the compound. For every building in this Russian compound, there seems to be a... Ooh. Bradley is shooting into the center building. Doesn't look like any casualties there from that. But it certainly has... He's shooting those HE rounds, which are going to definitely weaken and injure. Look at it. Knocking over some sandbags there. It's putting a lot of pressure on these Russian units to get inside and away from that HE fire. They're just shooting everywhere. Oh, Russia seems to have blown up a open-top MRAP. There goes two.
Yes. I'm it comes with everyone. Perfect.
And mortars are landing up here in the northeast part of the compound onto a building roof. Looks like someone died in this building, but the rest of the fire team is up. A lot of these buildings here have awesome, more mortars spread out all around here.
Anyone have eyes on that BTR?
The entire U.S. squad is attacking the west, and there's buddy teams kneeling at walls. Maybe they're going to think about trying to jump these walls, and it looks like they have. There are teams running along the improvised wall here, the HESCO wall. They're going to probably jump. They're going to try to jump, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. They're going to jump over the wall, and this little bunker right here, north of the western building. I haven't really been keeping a track of reinforcements. I wonder how many reinforcements have been used by each team at this point. Let me see if I can try to figure that out.
I think the U.S. have brought up at least 3 Bradleys now. They should have one in reserve. I don't think the Russians have reinforced yet.
I see a Russian reinforcement squad. It looks like they're queued. One is full, so one may be rolling out any second now. There's a second one that's almost filled. Looks like 16 Russian kills to U.S. 18. So U.S. getting a little bit of an edge here when they get closer to the compound. Maybe these mortars here for U.S. are starting to have their effect, splintering the Russian defense inside their compound. They basically become small cells that are not really able to effectively, communicate with each other. This Bradley's trying to put some HE rounds through a window, trying to get a kill. He may have. I think he got that guy up there. He might have. These 2 Bradleys over here are quite the force. Really, the only thing that would really ruin these guys' day is if a BTR-30 perhaps comes from behind and destroys them. Or maybe a pair of lat guys, just like we saw earlier.
Yeah, that was an amazing flank by that pair, man. They got that Bradley right in the ass. It was amazing.
It was such an improbable flank, too. They were able to hide their way past a fire team of U.S. that are pushing that flank. Probably to think about doing the exact same thing, except for really they're going to attack infantry inside the base. But just goes to show you, like I said earlier before we started the operation, Russian camo seriously overpowered here. Maybe not overpowered, but it's a serious asset the Russia could use. A tow missile showed up out of nowhere. It's super effective.
Yeah, the Russians have a tow emplacement outside of the fob on the eastern side of the fob.
Let me see if I can find that. That was an amazing. Oh, I see it. It's next to the transmission tower. There's a squad leader running it. Let's see who this is.
If I had to guess, I'd say approximately K7.
Londarts. What a legend. What an amazing position for this tow
And
launcher.
it's sitting out there, and it's just in the grass with no defenses. It's kind of stealth, you know.
I think this had to have been built later. This definitely was not around live, or when the initial attack happened. This was built after.
Yeah, I think that flank that went out, they actually set that, and then the two lats were turned loose to further pursue the Bradleys.
I think the mortar fob is trying to. Maybe this is smoke. No, those were actual HE rounds. I think they're trying to find lawn darts over here on this tow launcher, and he's just looking for targets. But there's no infantry to oppose him.
Yeah, it looks like the Russians got 30 mil BTRs incoming for reinforcements. And the U.S. have lost at least 2 Bradleys so far, maybe 3.
They've lost 2 Bradleys. I'm looking for this. There was a second Bradley that was over in this pack. It is now northeast of or northwest of the compound, sitting in the open next to an open top.
Oh, that's gonna be that Bradley needs to get out of there. It either needs to pick those guys up out in the field, bring them back, or find a better spot to sit itself, because those 30 mils coming in they're gonna see that thing sticking out.
The turret isn't moving, which makes me wonder, is anyone even... Oh, no, the turret's moving. So, it is occupied. This open top is not occupied, it looks like. Just ditched for transportation? Doesn't even have anyone driving it. It's an odd allocation of resources.
All right, the U.S. is pushing a full striker of reinforcements in here.
Oh, it's coming in south. They're pushing it right up to the building. This is a Rose Dragon strat. Throwing smokes over. And here we go. Dismounting. They're going to use it to vault over the building. Oh, there's that MTLB from earlier. It was watching the door. It is cutting down infantry. There's 3 infantry dead. 1 guy got through. Just Esoteric gets into the building. Mortar's coming over from the mortar base. Esoteric is now trying to clear this building. The MTLB is still trying to snipe these guys off. And it looks like Jive's able to get up there. There's a grenade throw. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish there. Maybe a smoke? No, it was a frag. And I don't even think I went that far. Now U.S. infantry are coming over. The striker is firing back at the wall too. Infantry from the main point are looking at it. There's an MTLB moving. No, that's this. Oh, that is the Bradley, and it is on fire. And that Bradley is in full retreat. He is smoking. Oh man, I don't think anyone expected an MTLB to be right there. I think this Bradley is looking for it. But that is almost half a reinforcement squad dead, because they never realized the MTLB was watching the southern entrance. But now U.S. have a foothold in this police station building, and they're starting to position assets. There's still one Russian. There's still one Russian still has his bipod deployed, and he is covering the front entrance.
Yeah, it looks like those 30 mil Russian reinforcements, the BTRs they brought in, have parked north to dismantle the infantry, and the infantry are walking in now. So they're clearing a path for the 30 mils. If you guys check out the map here, they got a full squad here, and they're walking the 30 mils into the FOB location. It's pretty smart. This is what the U.S. should have done with the Bradleys.
I want to say they intended to do that, but the Bradleys just sort of cruised right on in without much of a real clearing in front of them, and they just waltzed over the hill into a clearing, into an open space where they were just easy pickings. And of course, the genius Russian flank with the two LAT units that were able to score Bradley kill.
You know, that's one of the great things about these operations, these events we put on, is the individual kind of like stories and moments in combat, right? Just two guys and their lats take out a Bradley. Crazy stuff.
And it looks like this southern U.S. foothold in the police station has been cut down dramatically. The squad is gone. There is one U.S. soldier in the compound. He's in the center staircase that leads to the roof. And that's Sergeant J.C. And it seems like Pickle, our good old squad ops Pickle here, probably popped all these guys. Or he had some help. I don't see any help around. Of course, the striker has been blown up. Probably a reason why they can't jump over onto the roof anymore. And these BTRs are slowly crawling through. One of them has made it, and he is in hunt mode. He's made it to the eastern side of the compound, just emerging from the northeastern forest, along with a squad. And there's another hit. This Bradley is burning hard. He's down. It says a third Bradley destroyed. 37 kills for Russia right now, 29 kills for the Army, for the U.S. Army here. And it seems that the Russian defense is gonna be pretty strong here.
Yeah, it sounds like their commander Jack made the right call there. Oh, but the U.S. mortars are taking their toll
on the reinforcements.
Yes, as they were walking in the front of the FOB here, and the mortars were cutting them down as soon as they were coming in.
Yep, I see a couple dead. I see a couple bodies. The reinforcements are trickling their way through the north entrance of the compound. Meanwhile, this BTR-30, U.S. have just called out the BTR. Let me try to find it real quick. That's not it. That's a destroyed Bradley.
I wonder if the U.S. is going to try to reorganize themselves a little bit and do one more push, maybe with multiple squads instead of sending in a single squad at a time.
Oh, there it is. Man, the Russian camo is so good, even I can't see vehicles. Goodness sakes. Let's see here, we got Alpha Guido and Mater. They're in this BTR-30. They're off on the east. They're in the trees. They are looking to pounce on anything that comes over that hill to the south. Hearing over the U.S. comms that there are multiple vehicles leaving the FOB. Maybe their reinforcements are coming through. Now, the driver has gotten out of this. I don't know what this is. The driver got out of the BTR, and his gunner's still in the turret.
You guys set? Next.
We're getting set now. We're loading up.
He's got his binocs out. Oh, that's right. Crewman as a V11. This is a new class that's got added in the game, and certain vehicles require crewmen to operate. So armored vehicles like this BTR 30 here require a crewman to drive the vehicle and to gun the vehicle. And the crewman kits might not have a lot of firepower with their AK, but they got binos and optics. As we know from Squad Ops operations for months and months, for years, crying out loud, optics are everything. And a good spotter for your vehicle or your heavy asset is going to be a tremendous value, and almost, I would imagine, double the effectiveness of the unit.
We did. There's no ammo.
The drawback to that is you can't move the thing right off the bat. So you're going to have to run it back over there, and he's going to spend time to get in the vehicle. It's it's not a good trade-off there.
Me and my crewman buddy are still alive. We run back, we can just pick up the other Bradley.
Some 101 kind of small arms left here at the fob. Just 1 or 2 US left now.
I would imagine that US are trying to regroup.
We tried. They're all empty with ammo.
We got Miyamoto running away, leaving Sergeant JC in the police building. Now they're taking pot shots at Miyamoto's dead. Oh, and guess who's right over here? Dorf, a reinforcement squad leader, and Lil Bump. They're just chilling in the shade, faking like they're dead. Look at this. Look at this. Look at both of them. They're pointing themselves down in the ground, prone. They're trying to act like they're dead.
You better hug that bush tight. It's your only friend out there with you.
Dorf is in the bush. Lil Bump is outside of it. They're trying to fake like they're dead. There's plenty of munitions for Russia right now that they can just, spend some rounds that don't care about, and it doesn't really matter. Oh, it looks like Sergeant JC is getting attacked in the southern building. He's got a fire team's worth. He's got a fire team's worth of Russians. He is about to die. He has been ordered to secure a kill. And looks like there might be someone trying to throw a grenade over here.
Hey, Miyamoto, make sure the 2 guys in your squad
He is surrounded.
already reinforced.
Oh, there's one of the ammo crates for Russian right there. Super useful. Typically in operations we don't rearm. However, in this one, you can rearm, which means plenty of AT rounds to go around. So that was a frag round from an RPG, and here comes the assault force. Here comes the Russian assault force. It's Lydian Win with Diane Riff and Pickle and Octosnake. Octosnake, member of that RPG killer duo earlier. Here we go. Oof. There goes one. Sergeant JC holding the angle. He's prone. He's still holding the door. The dead Russian is now doing a dance, and everyone else has run away. But JC, he gets pinged by AR fire from the sandbag over in the central building. This gentleman right here. This bag of Joe. And now he runs away. Presumably to celebrate and drink vodka. As mortars. Nails James range!
You know,
They
when you hear
chose
those
the
things
right-
popping off, when you hear those things popping off, you should find some hard cover.
There's another kill.
I'm emptying the mortar.
I don't know who that was, but there was another guy down. Look at this guy. He's got his own indirect fire shelter. They are... That is strong mortar fire.
Negative. They're all in the compound, right? Yeah, they're in compound.
This is... Must be a redirect sort of... this must be a redirect or a deception play. Throw mortars there.
Well, the U.S. did reinforce a squad on the west side. Looks like Squad 10's finally arrived. They dismounted out of a transport truck.
Mr. Moneyman and the BTR, however, has spotted them and opened up with a bunch of coax fire from quite a range. Mr. Moneyman here in this BTR was
Taken?
here. There's Mr. Moneyman in his BTR, and all those smokes.
I'm just staying
Those
with
smokes were the
I'm gonna
result
get down. If I get up, I'm gonna die.
of
Copy that.
Mr. Moneyman's BTR usage here, and he's going to move out. Reference,
Yeah, they got at least two
that was probably about 300, 400 meter shot right there.
within the compound and out.
The optics in the BTR are pretty strong.
8 minutes till reinforcements run out.
The U.S. platoon here trying to maneuver.
Pretty sure I'm the last reinforcement squad.
I think there's only 8 minutes left for reinforcements for both teams. So we'll see if
Yes.
the U.S. can formulate a couple of last-minute squads, fill up those vehicles, and
ARs.
make a last push.
Looks like Russian ARs are opening up from the open building here, this little bunker. He's got a bipod. He's got sandbags. He's happy. Multiple ARs opening up on this U.S. infantry group. One of them looks like they're trying to fire back. Tracers flying everywhere. The smoke is, well, I said earlier, smokes work both ways, and I was referring to a U.S. platoon pushing northward into the Russian base. Smokes work both ways. They give you great concealment, but they let everyone know where you're at, and they let everyone know a general potential, vector for your movement.
I got a BTR coming to me.
And
Already know.
these infantry elements, they might be using the smoke to get some cover to try to get out of this AR fire, but they're not hiding themselves at all.
He's gonna be top hill.
There's no deception here. The Russians know they're working that hill, and that BTR looks like it's rejoined with its coax. He's trying to snipe these, or not snipe so much as spray down the U.S. infantry. You may have got one or two there.
It'd be huge if you blow up that BTR.
Trying to get the infantry from this BTR. I think this is Mr. Moneyman's BTR. He may be soloing this. I believe he is soloing this BTR.
It's on squad 10.
You found it on squad 10?
It is.
Uh-oh. I see it. Looks like a 30 mil for Russia has gone south into the forest here. It's got itself sandwiched between a couple of U.S. units, but it's going straight for 10. It's going straight for one of the reinforcement squads. Going around them. The gunner doesn't look like he's looking for these guys. All the U.S. are prone here. Not all these guys are alive, by the way, but they're all prone on the ground. Trying to relay back the position of this BTR. This BTR continues to push northwest and circles around.
It's on Western Road. It's gonna come to my west.
Not quite sure what this BTR hopes to accomplish here, aside from scare some infantry.
Alright, reinforcements are here, guys. What do you want us to do? Reinforcements are here. We lost the BTR. It's gone. Off to our north.
BTR put some rounds out.
There goes our.
Wow. That was quite a shot. I think that came, the main shots came from the Russian compound. I think that was an MRAP over here that blew up. Let's go check this out.
Eyes on MRAP and moving back to the top.
Yeah, look at this. There's a
The general plan is to
Mat V
the,
open top.
from range.
It gone.
Try to pick up as many as we can.
Oof. I mean, let's try to frame this in from where that potentially came
Take
from.
them out once you think they're only.
Look at this is.
Roger.
I don't think it was. I don't.
I'm in like a perfect hiding spot.
That had to have been. That had to have been a tow.
Understood.
And what kind of? That's insane.
Dorf, I recommend you don't move. If you're still alive this long.
I mean,
Roger.
through all of those trees. Oh, guess what? It did it. This BTR right here. The BTR doesn't have a driver, and it's just sitting here. It's got its own little hill. It's got plenty of cover,
Yeah, what over to your left?
and it is covering. It's covering the entire south. The BTR is still moving though.
Right above me.
BTR moving across. He's smoking. He is mudding the dudes. Look at this. He's a little air right there. He's pushing southeast, and I think he's going to try to sweep back. Yeah, the turret is now facing forward. They're trying to ditch, and that's a tree, my dude. Let's get a little score reset here. 50 kills for Russia versus 38 kills for US. Defenders' advantage playing itself out again. But I gotta say, the US bundling of its Bradley resource has gotta be rough for Rose to take, as this BTR is deploying high or HE. He is popping people. Oh, it takes a rocket from the left. Stolen within 20 meters. Pops it straight in the side plate. The BTR pops smoke. It hits out. It's still smoking pretty bad. Why are Russian infantry? Russian infantry are pushed. Let's see. There's some Russian infantry pushing out here. This is uninvited. This is Uninvited Dream, Thurman Merman. Who else is here? Pickle. They're pushing out along with this 30 mil. And there's more of them. Holy Spam. Silent is out here too. Maybe they're hunting more vehicles. Miku, they have 2 LAT units pushed out here with them. An entire squad is pushed out in coordination with this 30 mil. And as you can see in the distance, a full U.S. squad is running to meet them. Looks like they're within 250 meters of each other right now, but they're going to close that distance pretty quick. They're both moving in the same direction. Let's see, who's this here? Silent in front, Holy Spam behind.
Somebody disconnected and then joined the squad after. I'm assuming we can't.
Silent was responsible for leading that duo that took out the Bradley earlier on. The first Bradley down for US. I haven't seen the fourth Bradley, now to kind of think of it. Maybe they're keeping that in reserve. Matter of fact, look at that. Everyone's in a transport truck up there for US. And reinforcements are done. The reinforcement period of 45 minutes. The reinforcement period for US has finished. And that group of US soldiers are on transport. Russia owns the south. They have a BTR plus a squad roaming around the southern forest. They're getting closer to where this mortar fob was down here in Kilo 9.
I'm just gonna pull up the export to the south entrance, and we're just gonna storm the fucking base from the south entrance.
And there's a US transport over here.
And you might as well hit from the north.
It's in the woods.
Go for a northern flank then and just hope for the best.
Miyamoto's driving.
BTR west side, they have BTR east side.
There's some dirt paths over here. These are intended to be used for, they're like footpaths. I wonder how much how many forces U.S. actually have right now.
But you can do it by foot. You gotta be careful.
What direction do you recommend?
This may be it. I think we're looking at GG pretty soon here. Not a lot of coordination from U.S. on their reinforcements. Plus, they still have a lot of assets at their base. I'm not even going to look. I think one of them's a Bradley.
I'm sorry. I fucked up here. Come back. Guys, get out here.
So we're going to follow this squad right here. We're going to see what Miyamoto Magic can do. It appears he's got 2 lats in his squad. This is the standard reinforcement. 2 lats, 2 AR, 1 medic. ARs, the LMGs, they got the M249s. They're coming up to one of the abandoned compounds. One of the various compounds that are on this map. I think it's a control point of some sort. This may be the checkpoint, or one of the main checkpoints. I want to say it's like Juliet 9. I could be wrong. But here's the U.S. squad. They're just rolling across this service road here. 30 mil in the distance. Somewhere in the forest to their southwest or southeast. This one squad. This one squad has to do it for U.S. Their reinforcements are cut off. And they're going to have to take out a 30 mil, an MTLB that's basically an emplacement in their base. I think they have another BTR roaming around their FOB, the compound for Russia. And about 20-ish infantry.
Alright, I'm pushing in.
It's a pretty tall order for this one squad of U.S. infantry.
Saving Private Dorf.
Oh, wait. Dorf and Low Bump are still alive. They're still on the battlefield next to their downed Bradley. And somehow they're still alive as a 30 mil, as a BTR drives past them, as they hide from the 30 mil. It's rolling around. Now that we got a little bit of breathing time,
Mimo, are you good?
Expert, how do you think Russia has fared generally? They haven't really used a lot of their resources. Now they have committed them, but it seemed like Russia was taking a super passive line in the beginning.
Yeah, I think they got some early hits in, and that kind of slowed the U.S. advance. And then once they were reinforced with the 2 BTRs and 2-time squads, it's kind of like the U.S. attack stalled out. I'm not sure why all the U.S. mechanized assets are still left in Maine. I'm not sure about that, but it's yeah, I think as we see the BTR here take out some U.S. infantry pushing up.
Yeah, the U.S. have had the better part of 50 minutes now spent to attack this massive super compound of Russian military might. AR has started to come through the foliage here. There's no mystery as to where these guys are. Oh, there goes Miyamoto. The 30mm BTR is within 50 meters, and it's backing up for a better shot as these guys come over the hill. The coax cannon is pinning them down. Jive throws smoke. That was actually a frag, and it was pointless. A pointless frag thrown as I think a general charge has been called. Lots of Russian infantry moving to the western side of their compound. Let me try to get a better angle here for you guys. BTR still watching this hill. I don't think it's going to be okay. I'm sorry, Jive. The U.S. have spent the better part of 50 minutes assaulting this Russian compound. Their sole objective is to take over the compound. There's a radio that they have to destroy, and then they hold out there for the rest of the time. For the first 45 minutes of this operation, both teams were allowed to rearm, or not rearm, but reinforce, which means typically in our operations, there are 1 life. When you go down, oh no.
Yep.
Oh no. They're going to meet U.S. Oh, there's a frag! Oh god. Frag was too short. Here we go. Jive cut down. Cletus down. 2 U.S. left. There's a BTR right there. The coax fire coming through. Cyborg clone. Dirtman goes down. AR fire from the walls. Cyborg clone. The only one left. Taking fire from everywhere. There's a Russian within 5 meters of him. Not looking anywhere. Maybe he's taking his time to aim. No, he just doesn't see him. Cyber clone. He's pushed here. Of course, tan on brown on green. Gets taken out by the BTR, and that is the end. 66 kills for Russia, 39 kills for US. Defender's advantage, of course, we know defender's advantage is a thing, but that is a textbook example of maximizing your defense.
I thought the U.S. did a pretty good job. I thought their initial assault went pretty well. The mortar fire was effective. The smoke dropping just before the assault of the HESCO walls, and the mechanized drops at the walls were actually pretty spot on. I think once the attack failed to break the inner circle of defenses in there, they had to resort themselves, and that gave Russia time to kind of reorganize their defense, and that's when the tables kind of turned. So, yeah. That was a cool one to watch, actually.
It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of elements that don't typically happen in our normal squad op operations, and I think seeing all of that play through relatively seamlessly, and of course with the game being an alpha, with the server performing as it did very admirably, I have to say this was a complete success from a operational standpoint. I think I think everything did a good job. The admins for tonight were Hero and Stormfront. They ran a pretty tight ship. Of course, you being the master, the author of everything, of course, you wrote it. So we have to tip our hat. We all collectively tip our fedoras in XBit's general direction.
You don't need to tip anything to me. I just provide the canvas. You guys do all the painting. So, anyways, yeah, it's a good operation. Hey, we should thank the guy behind the camera and all the participants too, don't you think?
Absolutely. Of course, we have the inevitable producer behind everything we've been doing here tonight. All the multicam footage you've been seeing, that is Shattered Ritual. He's a boss. I am B-Car. Thanks for watching our finale to the Belarusian pivot campaign. You can check us out at squadops.gg. Sign up there. Come on over to our Discord. Get hooked in. Read the README channel. If you don't read the README channel, someone will tell you to read the README channel. Get hooked in. Look at the calendar. Sign up for Basic. Basic may not be on the calendar right now, but wait for it. It will come. A new month, month into the month is always a sort of a crunch time for when the next month's sort of training gets published. Watch out for Basic. Once you take Basic, you can participate in all the events you see on the calendar. Please check us out at squadops.gg. We're on Twitch and YouTube, as you may have actually been watching this on Twitch and YouTube. Come follow us on the other, because why not? We're also on Twitter at squad_ops. Yeah, squad_ops. And thank you again for watching. We have we have operations on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And I would love for you guys to come out and participate. If you own Squad, come have Basic, come get Basic, and join in the fun. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next operation.